All right, what's going on, guys? Healy here. Today, I am with the one and only TrevTeepz. If you guys are on Twitter, Reddit, pretty much anywhere that talks about MLB, the show, you will see a guy who pretty much has 5 million stubs at all times. He gets all the collections done. He gets almost every card in the game. He's been doing it for years. I don't know the exact year he started. We'll get into that in a little bit, but yeah, his links will be in the description down below. How you doing today, Trev?
Healy, thank you for having me, buddy. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to have me here.
Yeah, a lot of people have
How are
been
you?
asking Trev to like make videos or like talk about some of his strategies, and at the moment doesn't necessarily have the equipment, so I'm helping him out. We'll get to know Trev and know get his stuff out there more and maybe help people. We should be able to help people earn stubs in the future without spending some money. So starting off, what year did you like start off flipping? When like did you flip on other games, or like how did that all come about?
I did do a little bit of EA, but their market system is totally different than MLB, where you can force your card to be the next one sold, taking a loss, of course, but I mean, still selling volume of them is where the key's at. But back in 14 and 15 was the beginning for me, but you really didn't have to do it at a huge scale because each team only had one flashback, and I mean, you had collections done pretty quickly then.
And there's like a big like stub glitch or something that happened in 15, and there's
What
just
was it? The triple play challenge?
there was that, but
I
also
recall.
I don't know. People just had millions of stubs just regardless. I remember Bryce Harper being like 500K or whatever the max was. I
Hmm.
don't know. I remember hopping on and there's just an exploit. I don't know what happened, but millions of stubs just on the market. But like every year you start off, you just buy the game, no money spent,
Digital
straight from the
Deluxe.
beginning.
Yeah, in the previous years, they've started you out with, I think it's like 12,000 stubs. This year, I believe it was around 15, somewhere in that neighborhood. But they also give you, quite a bit with the bundle there. And on opening night, it's usually the best time to strike. There's so much traffic in the market that if you can just reach out and grab a percentage of it after the first night, it'll leave you in a good position for the rest of the year. But first thing I do is open my packs and I list anything of value, and that's exactly how I get the ball rolling each year.
So in MLB The Show 17, I believe, and 18, did you have every single card in the game at the end of the year?
So if we could just rewind 1 year back before that, it was actually 16 where the market really went into overdrive, where you actually needed stubs that year. If you recall that year, they had introduced rookie to prime cards
Yeah,
like Joe Mauer, Troy Tulowitzki. There was
Carlos
even some.
Gonzalez.
Exactly, them cards exactly. When they had introduced that, that's when things changed a lot because now it wasn't just one flashback per team, but you were dealing with several flashbacks per team. And if you want to obtain all these cards, then you need a lot of stubs. But I've to answer your previous question, and not to sound like I'm bragging, but yes, ever since MLB 14, I've been able to obtain every single card on the market up till today.
Yeah, well, there's no problem with all that. You put in the work, put in the effort, got the stubs by working the market. Uh, so starting off with MLB 19, like what's your go-to strategy like every single year? Is there a go-to strategy every year, or is it mainly you just have to observe and try to build your stubs off that?
I honestly believe that yeah, each what's effective this year is probably not what will be effective next year, and absolutely wasn't what was effective last year. It changes year to year as they change stuff. If you notice, sometimes the rewards like that go for a lot in previous years will get put into the game in different styles. So, for example, like a card like Eddie Matthews last year. Uh, I couldn't even tell you the stubs I made off of the cleat. It was a Mother's Day cleat, and I would routinely sell this cleat for 700K, profiting 400K each time. Like it
Mm-hmm.
was pretty crazy. But what they do is they take cards like that some people can't obtain, and then they re-enter them in the game in a new way the next year, so people can, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. There's
So it
okay.
started off, or like flipping, you said it was MLB 14 and 15. Were you
hmm
good from the beginning? Did you have to get some tips from anyone else? Did you learn by yourself? How long did that whole process take before you were confident in your own abilities and like
hmm
just knew you could get stubs?
I think I seen that I was able to obtain these cards without buying them one day. I had reached out for help because back in MLB 15, I believe it was, you had to platinum the game, you had to obtain a trophy through pulling a diamond, and my pack luck is atrocious, so I never ever pulled a diamond. And that's when I started flipping to obtain stubs to buy packs to pull this diamond to be able to platinum MLB 15, I believe it was. So that was the seed that started everything. And then, as I said, 16 they progressively added more cards, and you needed stubs to obtain these cards because they were very high priced at the time.
How many hours do you think it would take an average person that has no market experience on MLB? Like they obviously know buys and sells, but like flipping wise, they just know how to get the stubs, whatever. What's how long would it take for someone to be able to flip by themselves?
I think I could teach somebody a foolproof way to do it where it would be like no risk involved at all. Um, I guess the question would be, how many stubs are you thinking? Are you talking, are
Uh,
we talking 12 million stubs, or are we just talking enough to get the collections done here?
just like in general, like let's say someone is playing the game, they have 50,000 stubs, they're trying to get up to like 75,000. Like how how
I,
much experience do you actually need? Or maybe they have like 10,000 and they're trying to get up to 50,000.
I think with 50,000 and 10,000, it would be two different routes. If I only had 10,000 stubs, I would probably take the safe, secure way, only buying small items, not dumping all my stubs into one item. I find that it's better to treat the market like a roulette table, spreading your stubs out evenly rather than trying to put them all on one number and hit, because your chances are gonna go up the more you put it out, spread it out evenly, as opposed to buying one card. When you buy one card and put all your stubs into it, it honestly, I've seen people do it before. They see the big gap in the card. I'm looking at a mini Minosa right now. It's got over 100K gap in it. But the thing is if it doesn't sell, then you don't make any stubs. And if you can't get the card to begin with, you put an hour and a half trying to obtain this card when you could have been doing small little cards that you would actually get. Not everybody has 100K to buy a Bonosa, but
Yeah.
everybody does have a 5K to buy one of these low tier diamonds.
Uh Random question, but with MLB 19, at what point, like how many days into the game did it take for you to be like, all right, I'm confident with the amount I have, and just it your stubs started just multiplying then to get to a big amount? Is there a certain amount that you need before like you're confident you could just continuously grow it like at a fast
hmm
pace compared to like flipping guys for buying them for 100 and then flipping them for 150, and you're only or 50 stubs in general?
Yeah, so when I did the collections, I had the collections done within the first 4 days from just using what I obtained from MLB The Show, putting that on the market and selling it. But if I was to lock the collections in right then, it would have left me with nothing. So
Mm-hmm.
at that point, what I did, I took every card early in the game. There was a market average. So with the market average, it was tough to make stubs, I'll be honest, but when there was no cards up, you were able to just come in and set a price at exactly whatever the highest amount was. So in the beginning, I didn't want to lock in all my cards because I knew that would leave me with nothing. So
Yeah.
every time a card would come up and there would be no buy now, I would put the card up and I would set the price for it. Good
Ooh.
example. Yeah, a good example would be Francisco Lindor. He was super hot early this year. You couldn't keep him on the market. They were going left and right. So I could put my card up for 72K in the daytime, and it would sell. And by nighttime, everybody sees that gap. They come in there, and that creates the market to go down. So at the end of the night, I end up buying them back for 48K when I had just sold them for 72. Well, I was doing that with most of the diamonds on the 30 teams. Granted, some teams don't have any, but when I seen there was a no buy now, I would take a card, I would put it up, and then once I had 400K, I locked in the collections and I started with that 400,000, and now I'm around 11, 12 million.
Nice. Yeah, you have around 11, 12 million with Honus Wagner, all the collections locked in. So like there's a lot more stubs right there. For the basic person learning how to flip, just like super basic knowledge, go through like what STS does with the tax and basically what you should be looking for, or like which one of these cards maybe on the screen right now actually would profit if you could get the buy now price and the sell now price if it's sold immediately to.
Yeah, the 10% market tax. It used to be only 5%, which is now 10%. But before ever making a flip, I would take that into consideration. And the easiest way to do that is to go up and see what it's going for now. Put it up for what you would sell it for, and you'll see the item. So right now is buy now is 280. You'd get back 251.
All right, so you could make
Um,
6,000 stubs pretty much from that if it's sold immediately both ways.
but that's not a flip that we would want to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely, we don't want to invest 245K to make 6K. We want to
Yeah.
we want to put out the minimal amount of stubs to make the maximum amount back. We want to make our return on our investment worth it. That's a very risky flip right there.
Oh yeah.
Not a good example.
And like you said, risky. Like two other people could come in, put it for way lower. You end up losing stubs, and also there's not a large supply, like demand for it as well. So you could be waiting a little bit for it to sell.
E- Exactly what you said there is right. And that's the biggest thing when flipping either World Series rewards or BR rewards is you got to take into consideration that there's a player out there playing for that, getting it for free. He doesn't care that you're out here flipping and you paid 245 for it. He just wants to sell it now. He paid nothing for it. He's not taking your feelings into consideration. I can tell you that right now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's something I would stay away from personally.
So with live series cards this year, we saw them probably at their lowest that they've been in like a couple years at least. Last year they were super expensive. 17, I think they're lower than 17 live series cards. Are they still
Mhm.
like flying off the market, buy now, sell now? Like are they good cards to sell and buy? Like if you want the
Volume.
transactions to happen quickly compared to like some of these pack cards or cards that you have to earn.
I personally stay away from live series cards at this point because I've already have it done, and my whole philosophy is I don't want to get stuck with two of the same card type deal. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So so if I say a Reggie Jackson, I don't have Reggie Jackson, right? I'm not. If I go to flip him at this point with the stubs I have, I'm not concerned about it because I don't have one. But
Mm-hmm.
if I was flipping Mike Trouts, then I would be a little concerned because I don't want to have two Mike Trouts. I tend to stay to cards that I don't have. That way, if I get stuck with them, it's not that big of a deal. It just add it to the collection type.
Yeah, before the recording, Trev and I pretty much talked about like a foolproof way to try to invest and make some stubs. What was that way that we discussed before?
There's a lot of guys out there that don't have a lot of time to invest into the game. They can't be around all the time. So if they purchase a card, they always have the risk of it losing value. So I like to tell a lot of people that if they invest in golds for 1,000 or diamonds for 1,000, keeping in mind the gap, so it's worth it for them. If you purchase a diamond for 5,000, you can purchase 10, 20 of them before you go to bed at night, knowing the next day you'll never lose value because you can put these diamonds on the market for, 58, 59. A lot of these diamonds have a lot more value now with onus in the game. So I would,
Can you filter and see if you could find an example?
yeah. So some of these examples you see is if you guys are familiar with any of the 30 pre-order diamonds or any low tier diamond, you'll notice that they run for 5. So a best example for me to give you guys was there's a stub cap in this game this year. So knowing that I would go over the cap if I kept making stubs, I started to sink my stubs into cards like Salvador Perez and Ron Guidry. The reason I did that is because some people don't know that there's a 5,000, you can quick sell any one of these. You'd be surprised how many people don't know. All these Salvador Perez's here I obtained for 5,000 stubs piece. I never paid any more for them. This is what I was recommending people to do. If you're buying these at 5,000, you could put up 20 bids. You now have the option to put up 50 bids in your inventory slot. So you start putting these bids up for 5,000. They'll clear out overnight, and the thought process behind that is the next day you're listing it. Right now you could list it for $58.99. A lot of these, it's only going to be 300 stubs, but to somebody who has nothing, that's a lot of stubs. And if you don't think about that one flip, you think about the 10 flips. If you're making 300 a flip, 10 of these are going to get you 3,000. And these things tend to sell pretty quickly also. You can also apply the same method to golds that sell for 1,000, and then unlockables also. If you notice all these unlockables, if you wanted to quick sell one of these, it would be 1,000 stubs. Is that what it is? I believe it is right now.
I would assume so. I've never quick sold one of these before.
Yeah, so same deal. If you look at some of these collectibles here, you'd be surprised who buy them. The home run calls, the home run celebrations, something like this can net you 800 stubs. You flip 10 of them, that's 8,000 stubs. It starts to add up very quickly. But again, the thought process behind is that you can load up on these, and at no time will you ever lose anything because you can quick sell it for 1,000. If you ever want to bail, say it's a Friday, new headliners come out, you don't want to stick with your investments anymore, you can quick sell these cards at any time and obtain exactly what you put into them if you don't want to be patient and sell them out. But like I said, if you look through here, like this right here is not bad to somebody who has nothing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
700 stubs, you do that twice, that's enough to go get your pack, or you do that twice, that's enough to do your BR entry.
And also, like you said, you could quick sell them and there will be no tax. So you quick sell them for 5,000 and you're going to get 5,000 stubs back. Don't quick sell them to sell orders, quick sell them in general, and you will lose. You're guaranteed to make profit, or you'll end up even. You will never be negative from that.
Give you a little example there.
Yeah, Trev on the screen right now. Quick sell for 5,000. You can do that with a lot of cards in the game. For the new people who are learning the market, there, like we've mentioned before, there are taxes on cards. There are a lot of dumb people that will sell golds for 1,000 and make 900 stubs. Try not to be one of those dumb people that do that. But if you want to continue doing that, you're contributing to other people making stubs. So someone's winning then out there. So with STS having a bunch of stub sales so far this year, I'm not seeing them slowing down, especially with how frequent they are and like the prices of packs and the amount of packs they're releasing and all that. What's your thought process going through with that? Like for people who want to buy stubs or people who have like investments or just are holding on to some cards, what does the stub sale do to the market?
So first of all, we're not telling you guys not to buy stubs. We understand that everybody's schedule is different. Everybody's financial situation is different. This is just for the people that want to learn how to flip and whatnot, and maybe help out the people that are buying stubs also. for you guys that are buying stubs, the first thing I would say to you guys is when you do buy these stubs at, say, a 50% discount, when you go and obtain that card that you're buying that day that you want to get, you're actually paying an inflation. So your 50% discount is now like maybe 25 if you're lucky. So what I'm telling you guys that buy stubs at the stub sale time is hold on to them stubs for 2 weeks. I know it burns a hole in your pocket, but just wait 2 weeks and your stubs are going to stretch a lot further than they would had you spent them the day you bought them of the stub sale.
And then for people who are trying to like make stubs or maybe feel like a stub sale is coming up, what could they do in preparation to try to make more stubs?
So I personally believe that any blue chip card will obtain value during a stub sale. That's your, you know, your main diamonds, your Vlads, your future superstar cards. Most of the previous bosses, maybe somebody needs that 75 points for something, and they go back and buy some of the old bosses they don't have, knowing they get the 30K also back. I think that if you know a stub sale is coming on, then I would stock up on any blue chip player, any BR reward, any World Series reward, any grind reward, any card that's in short supply, like a card they're not making anymore. So say like an event reward, maybe that, you know, there was like examples like Tony Perez, I guess would be a good example. I think you guys
Omar
have seen the
Vizquel
price.
probably be another one.
Exact. Yeah, but a lot of the ones the 72-hour events were the ones that were really big. I don't know if they'll put out any more of them, but say they do, them are the types of cards that I would stock up on because you always see so if you're increasing at if you're only putting up 1,000 stubs, and you could have bought Tony Perez for 1,000 stubs is what I'm trying to say, and now he's at 19K. You could have bought Kendrick Morales for 1,000 stubs,
Oh
and
my
now
god,
he's
I
at
have
88.
5 of him.
Remember, I told you to buy them, remember?
Yeah.
Another one, Carlos Martinez. He's now at 8K. That's another card you could. These are all cards I told people to buy at 1,000 stubs. A card that I do think that we'll start to see value in is, so just for an example, Taylor Clark. I had paid 1,000. I had paid 100 stubs for him, just over 100 stubs. He was a part of the Top Now program, and if you look, you can see cards similar to what I'm saying. You know, the year will end soon. The packs will dry up. There won't be so many of these cards around. This is an investment you can make right now. You can pay 133 stubs, and then later on at the end of the year, this card could be worth something that Taylor Clark's worth, or Shella, you know.
Yeah. So basically, don't buy the cards that you think will have a short demand. Not really like the cards that were in the Signature Series pack, because like the LK line and whatever, you thought maybe sure, but in turn, for making stubs 50% off, they made it so everyone could buy 2 of those signature packs, which means there's going to be more on the market. And also, another thing you were mentioning, basically, keep up with everything that they announce on the Show Nation or on their Twitter of upcoming events, because for this latest event, there's such a small pool of cards that you could use that values just shot up like crazy. So if you could get some cards in advance for like future events when they announce them, that would be key. Pretty much gonna do it for this video. We'll probably get another video in at some other point, so if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns about stub making in the future, we'll probably get a more in-depth video on that. Did not want to make this one like an hour and a half long type of video, but thanks for doing this, Trevor.
I appreciate you having me.
All your links will be in the description down below. Make sure to check him out if you have not already. He does stream on Twitch. You can find him on Twitter. He probably answer some questions on there if you have any. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe down below. It's Healy, and I am out. Peace.